So here I've got my little stack on the left here, my 3 layers that I spoke about earlier. There is a self-service portal, there's a cloud controller, my infrastructure operating environment is running my infrastructure appliance. So I could grow this picture now, because that's a single cloud deployment. Perhaps I could put an infrastructure appliance somewhere else. So perhaps I could have one instance in Zagreb and another one down in Split. So I could have these closer to customers. I've got a certain amount of high availability at this moment in time. For if one of my facilities goes down, I can start to build HA capabilities. That nice little API that I had for my infrastructure operating environment allows me to run those 2 instances, and you've guessed, of course, I can run more. Out of my cloud controller going north, I can also have different portals, different styles of portals. So you could have 2, 3, 4, 5 different front ends running all off the same back end set of resources. And that's quite important, because if you're going to be a service provider, or if you're a business that has 2 or 3 different divisions or whatever, you can give each one their own self-service portal, their own look and feel, their own set of services at that moment in time, and the multi-tenancy inside the solution separates them and keeps them apart and allows them to do it. So you can now start to grow out of your one cloud controller. Of course, it would be a good idea to add a second one at this point in time, just in case you need it for resilience. Interesting point to think about here, as much as I'm generating resilience above, those infrastructure appliances at the bottom can actually be built as highly resilient devices. If the management system goes down on your deployment, does your cloud stop working? No, it doesn't. Last Friday, Monday of this week, sorry, we demonstrated on a cloud deployment for a customer in the UK. We gave the customer the right to turn off anything he wanted to. I think it was a bit stupid to allow him to turn off anything he wanted to, because he walked straight towards the main management server and chose that as the thing to turn off. All the loads stayed running. Nothing happened. And over the next 20 minutes, because it's a highly resilient system, the system started to come back. And after 20 minutes, he couldn't tell the difference. We had a few little clues in our mind. We knew what box we were looking at that moment. But we could come back. The controller returned in 20 minutes. The actual service running underneath never went away. So we're able to build a very resilient type of solution. We can also do other little things as well. We might have different types and different classes of infrastructure appliances. We may have ones that are built for enterprise class. And so my one on the left, my one on the right, might be for enterprise class services. You care about the service level agreement. You do not want the managing director of that company phoning you up and shouting at you because his services have gone down. But actually, you might have in the middle there consumer class. And you're not quite so worried about your consumer class. So your consumer class is built slightly differently. You push the virtualization ratio much higher. You reduce the recovery times for that, you increase the recovery times for that system. It becomes cheaper. But even so, you can regulate and you can control the SLA. And it's important that you can end up with an enterprise SLA, which is very different to what people go out today and talk about in terms of Amazon EC2. I don't know if any of you have looked at Amazon EC2. It's a wonderful thing, brilliantly easy to use. It's worth the hour it takes you to try and log on as a first-time customer just for the experience, to see what it's like, to see what people are getting. But the service level agreement is a walk-away. Yes, they'll give you your money back if it fails over a certain amount of time, but that's all you get is your money back. There's no damages. If your business disappears suddenly as a result of the thing going down, you get your money back, but if you've lost all of your trading, nothing. This thing can build an enterprise class service. This thing you can put an SLA against to say it'll be back with you in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever you want to set them up as, depending on how much resilient equipment you're going to put inside the deployment. You can build a cloud that has the capability to select different types of things that you need. So this comes back really, and it shows now the real examples of what we're doing. Because what I've done is approached from the technology point of view what Martin approached from the strategy point of view earlier on today. Because I've talked to you about public, private, cloud, and hybrid support. How it's done, how it's built, how it's realized. You've seen actually how unified service delivery can work across traditional IT and with your clouds. So your clouds don't rip apart your internal IT. I didn't show you a broad system of apps, hypervisors and OSs. You'll just have to trust me that this is an environment in which important names are actually standing behind me in terms of whose components we use. So VMware's vCenter sits right inside the solution. The thing we were running this week was vCenter based, and the client couldn't see the difference between the HP consoles and the VMware consoles because we ran it as a whole with VMware inside HP. Likewise, we can do the same for Microsoft as well. For us, we are completely automated, so that deployment, out and run we can do, and we can lift that level of automation depending on what your business requires. Because everybody has their own idea what they would like automated and what they don't want automated. There is this story that you get, everyone says, I'd like everything automated, but they don't actually know what all the flows are. It's probably a very dangerous thing to suggest to go and do everything. Start with the most important things, get them done and first of all, and move on. And of course, our converged infrastructure appliance has many of the automation sequences built in, and it comes as part of it being an appliance. Scaling, you've seen me start to scale, tens of thousands of servers. The largest I know of, and I'm sure there are bigger ones around, is we have a client who's just gone past 50,000. But actually, I think he's very unusual. The majority that we see are single rack type of deployments, very much smaller. So, I've shown you at a large container size. Please imagine at small sizes as well as being a standard thing. And security stands absolutely critical inside this world because this is probably one of the most dangerous world for hackers to try and work their way around, because once inside, able to execute inside your environment, that's really dangerous. In fact, the system we built and we were working on Monday, we've made it so secure inside, we realized we couldn't even get any communication in or out of it for a little while. We lost contact with our own system and we had to open it back up. Somewhere in here, we need to set the paths back to it. But you can lock down these things and really set them so secure that it's not even possible to see what other people are using on the system, not possible to see what infrastructure they have, not even to ping the IP addresses or whatever else that you need to keep them away from. So really important, pulling them together, actually able to show and deliver them as capabilities. And this puts together our belief that there's a real big change going on in the world. IT now becomes different. The CIO has to think in a different way. Instead of dealing with the feuding armies of the network guys, the storage guys, the server guys type A, the service guys type B, and how they're going to bring all these guys together, they need to think about it in terms of the major tasks they've got to do. The first thing is that they can build and use public and private cloud. They've got to deal with transformation, how you bring legacy applications in. And you showed earlier how we can deal with some of the legacy applications. Not perfect, there will always be difficult legacy applications. How you need to manage and secure it. You've managed and secured all of your existing environments. Cloud has got to have the same, but multi-tenancy in cloud, it's like the wicked brother of basic data center security. You've got to get it right, you've got to build it right. It's actually a more exacting set of rules that you need to work to. And you've got to be able to do everything safely out there. So your CIO now becomes a very different person because he's making a choice in his world between running his traditional IT, running in a public cloud world, or running in a private cloud world. And so what I hope I've been able to show you is the fact that we understand building private cloud, building public cloud, working with traditional IT, creating a hybrid environment is not rocket science. It is not a particularly difficult thing as long as you've approached it with the right components and you've approached it with the right design approach. If you've thought through how you get best power savings at the infrastructure level, lowest cost at the infrastructure level, best quality of service at the infrastructure level. And then you've built your 3-level machine in the software to run the resources, to build instances, to deal with users coming in. Then you've got the basics of cloud. And actually, lots of you have got self-service portals already, so let's integrate with them. You've got bits of automation. Let's reuse and work with them. But the whole principles that you're looking for is easy, and you can come up step by step. You don't have to build a mega cloud software stack on day one. I really would not advise it. It doesn't seem to be a very bright thing to do. You could build step by step, come up very slowly. Certainly in the case of some service providers, we actually work with them and suggest that they don't run self-service to their end user customers on day one. Why not run it through your professional services capability? For many service providers, they have professional services capability. Let's empower those people even more by giving them the self-service capabilities in-house to service their customers faster. And then, over time, perhaps add more self-service capability. So what I hope I can show you is it really does work to seed your cloud, and seeding your cloud is actually going to allow you to grow your business and actually save money at the same time. And I'm not going to do that. Martin did it earlier. We talked about cloud system. Cloud system is how we sell this. So let's just conclude. It's software that's driving the infrastructure. It's software that's driving those enablers. Get it right, you can drive that total cost of ownership right down. You can make sure that you are working the most economic, and you can be the best CIO in your industry, the one who's delivering the most economic solution for your business. So I'll be around later if you want to come and talk to me. Martin's around later if you remember his face from earlier. Come and talk to us later. Thank you very much for your time.